Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. I am Elijah. Let's talk some football. NFL season on the way. Preseason has begun. The regular season, we're just weeks out. I figured I'd start the season off before it really got going by going through and predicting who I thought will make the playoffs this year. This is, of course, going to be based on how they did last year, who they've lost, who they've acquired, whether in the draft or trades, the coaching, injuries, all sorts of different things like that. Going to give my thoughts on who I think is going to make it this year, just based on all that sort of stuff. I'm going to do kind of a 4-tier judgment, if you will. We're going to start off. We've got bet on it. That means they're in. Forget about it. If you don't want them to make it, too bad. They're in. I know there's a few teams out there that everybody is thinking of when I say that. Probably as an option. This would be teams that have a pretty good shot of making it. They're probably going to make it. But it's going to be close with other teams, probably going to make wild card. They may win their division, but they're not going to be top seed. The other option would be, let's name it doubtful. This would be teams that they could squeeze in, probably not going to make it, but hey, if something drastic happens to another team or they get just the right amount of wins and other teams get the right amount of losses, they may find themselves in the wild card. And then last, no chance. This would be, again, some teams that everybody's thinking of that we'll discuss in a minute. But this is, don't hold your breath. If you're a fan, you're going to lose sleep, or about week 4, week 5, you're already going to be looking forward to next year's draft and next season. We've all been there. We all know what teams I'm talking about, at least a few, but we'll get into that. So we're going to start with the AFC. Let's begin. What better conference, what better division, what better team to start with than the Buffalo Bills? If you are a fan, or if you know me, you know I am a fan of the Buffalo Bills. They're my team. And what am I going to give them? I'm going to give them a probably. If this was the last 4 years, I would say bet on it. Unfortunately, I don't think I can quite say that this year. Will they make it in? Probably. They've got a good shot at winning the division. It's between them and Miami. It's going to come down to those two teams. It's a tough division. You've got Miami, who's got a great defense, great offense. Well, we'll get into Miami. What are we looking at with Buffalo? Buffalo, again, if it was the last 4 years, I'd say they're in. I'd say playoffs for sure. But if you remember last season, it came down to that final game. It's going to be Buffalo or Miami winning the division, but I can't tell you who it's going to be. It came down to the final game, Miami, Buffalo. Buffalo won, took the division. But Miami's fighting for it. Am I worried that we lost Diggs? Am I worried that we lost Davis? No. We brought on some good receivers. The defense is what I'm worried about. Do I blame McDermott? No. We have lost, whether due to injury or trades or whatever the reason may be, we've lost some good names. Milano, finally back, injured already in the preseason. So not looking great for the injuries. Buffalo's already looking pretty scary. I'm going to still say probably because you can't count out Josh Allen. You can't count out the offense, especially with the new coordinator, James Cook, getting over 1,000 yards last year. I think he'll do it again this year. They've got a strong run game. Buffalo's one of those teams that if you look at the betting odds for who's going to the Super Bowl, they're always in the top like 4, and they are again this year. So I'd say going to the playoffs, probably. And while we've been discussing them, let's go ahead and go with the Miami Dolphins. Give them a probably also. Again, one of these two teams winning the division, going to the playoffs. Like I said earlier, Miami, strong defense. I'd say one of the top 6 or 7. One of the best in the AFC. You've got a couple other strong ones like Cleveland and others that we'll get into later. But Miami, strong defense and one of the most power-punching offenses. You got Tua. Tua is better than people give him credit for. He's still new. He's still not quite up there, but he puts up the numbers. And he's got Waddle. He's got Hill. He's got great backs in the backfield. So, yeah, I would I say I would worry about Miami. I do worry about Miami. Yeah, so Miami, whether they win the division or not, probably going to the playoffs. And that brings us to the two teams in the AFC East that I'm not so worried about. But we'll start with the Jets. The Jets are interesting. They've got Rodgers. They obtained them last year, and everyone got scared. Everyone's like, oh, the Jets are winning the division. Week 1, drive 1, he's out. He's injured. He's gone. He's back now, so they say. Is he 100%? I don't know. Achilles tendon tear. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I've heard he's not getting along with his team. That's media, though. So you can never really judge based on that. But we'll have to keep an eye on the Jets. I give them a doubtful. They're probably not going to make it. They could squeeze out some good wins if the Jets that they predicted are the Jets that show up. Are they going to beat Miami for the division? No. Are they going to beat Buffalo for the division? No. The Jets aren't making it in through the division. They're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, just get enough wins in the tougher conference and somehow squeeze into the wild card, which is going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. If you think the NFC is better than the AFC, you're lying to yourself. There's just too many tough teams and too many tough divisions. If the Bills and Miami beat out New York, they probably won't make it. They're going to have to beat out enough other teams in the conference, and I don't think that's going to happen. And then New England. Oh, good old New England. That's a no chance. What can I say? What can I say about New England? The dynasty is dead. That's all I got to say. No, I'll say a little bit more. Belichick gone. The new coach. For some reason, I'm blanking on his name. Let me look him up real quick. Mayo, that's right, Mayo. Sorry about that. Mayo. They got high hopes for him. I have high hopes for him. Buffalo's my favorite team, but the Patriots are one of my top 5 teams. If Buffalo doesn't make it, I find myself rooting for the Patriots. I did it for 20 years, or however many, when Brady ruled the roast. Ruled the roost. A slip of the tongue there. Mayo. Yeah, they think he may turn things around a little bit. It's going to take time. You can't... I'm going to say this a lot throughout this podcast. You can't add one metric, one change, one position or coaching position and just flip the team. You can't take a bad team and make it good. A good quarterback does not a great offense make. A good linebacker does not a good defense make. A good coach, probably the best shot you have at turning a team around. But we'll see. I'll keep an eye out for them. They may pull out a couple division wins. I would say division upsets. Hopefully not against Buffalo. But yeah, I would not expect them to make the playoffs, especially in the division they're in. Will they beat New York? I hope so. That would actually entertain me if New England had a better record than New York. But we'll have to play it by ear. I know they've been kind of back and forth on their quarterbacks. I don't know who they're going to play this year. They got rid of Jones. I think. No. Yeah, they got rid of Jones. I'm an idiot. Yeah, Jones was traded. They picked up some quarterbacks, but to my knowledge, they've been doing a bit of a competition, which that's kind of what the preseason is you test different players out and see who's going to make the main roster, who's going to start, who you're going to have in different lineups. However, you don't want to be doing that with your quarterback. You want your quarterback established, you got your backups, and then you got your franchise quarterback ready to lead the charge. If you're not quite sure who that is, you're not off to a good start, and that's New England. So we'll have to see what happens with them. I'm hoping they become, like, obviously you want your division to be tough. You want your division to not be tough, to be easy, so your team automatically makes the playoffs. But I want New England to get better over time. I want an interesting division, which we already kind of have with Miami. So, I mean, that's where we're at with the AFC East. Now let's go to the AFC West. Now here is a division that just there's no competition. We'll start at the top. Bet on it, Kansas City. Why? Because they're the best team in the league? You could argue that, but we'll look at the division really quick afterwards. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Kelsey, who's back, although there's a lot of controversy with that. People are saying he's a little washed up, a little bit of a has-been. I don't know. He dropped some passes, some big passes last year, but, like, can you really bet against Kelsey? He's still the greatest tight end of all time. Kansas City's defense, it seems, just every year better and better. And then you have the wide receiver core, a lot different. It seems it's changing all the time. But Andy Reid, he knows what he's doing. He's got the routes. He's got the plays. He's going to get his boys open. Patrick Mahomes is going to have no problem hitting some receivers. And yes, he did a behind-the-back pass the other week. Whatever. But yeah, Kansas City, they're going to win their division, so they're automatically in the playoffs. Bet on it. Broncos. Oh, the Broncos. You want to talk a team that doesn't know who their quarterback is? Well, actually, I think they've got it. I think Bo Nix may get this. Yeah, Bo Nix had a couple decent showings, if I remember, this preseason. I don't pay much attention to the preseason, but I think Bo Nix has okay stats. It's going to take some time to really settle in, especially on a horrible team. Well, I don't want to say horrible, but a team that has struggled lately, especially finding a quarterback. They tried Russell Wilson. That didn't work out. So, yeah, Denver, I don't want to say they're in a tough division, but they're in a division that's already lost. Bo Nix, good luck against the Chiefs. I'm going to say doubtful for Denver for one reason. I can't say probably for anyone else in this division. The AFC is too tough. The AFC has too many strong teams. When only 7 get into the playoffs and 4 of them are the winners of the divisions, filling in those last 3 spots, it's a dogfight. And all 3 of the teams in the AFC West that are not Kansas City aren't going to fill those. Starting with Denver, and also including Las Vegas, the Raiders. They chose Minshew for their quarterback, I heard. I like Minshew. Minshew's good for a backup. There's only so much you can get when you don't have that franchise quarterback and you're trading. It's kind of like Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic. He had good games. He had not so good games. Is hit and miss. But everybody would pick him up if they didn't have another quarterback. And I feel like that's what Minshew is. But I like Minshew. Do I think Las Vegas is going to make the playoffs? Doubtful. I'm not going to... Actually... No, let's go no chance. It would take something crazy happening with the Chiefs, like Patrick getting hurt or Andy Reid getting hurt, for one of these teams to make the playoffs. I don't. They're not going to win the division, and I don't see them winning enough games to make the wild card. So I'll say doubtful for Denver, but I'll say no chance for Las Vegas. And that brings us to Los Angeles. There's always discussion of Herbert every year. When they discuss the best quarterbacks, you always bring up Herbert. When you talk about great defensive players, you talk about Bosa. He's obviously not the better Bosa. But they don't have Keenan Allen anymore. They don't have... I don't know. They've lost a lot of their better players. Just because the Chargers aren't going anywhere. I'll say doubtful for them as well. But again, if this was a couple years ago, I'd say the Chargers probably would squeeze by to get a wild card spot. But I can't say that this year. All these teams have 2 automatic losses against Kansas City, unless there's an upset. And then it's going to be a dogfight between them on who beats each other. Yeah, so it's one of the easier divisions. It's kind of like when Tom Brady was in the AFC East. You had the Patriots and the Patriots victims. That's what it's like for Kansas City. Yeah, so 1 automatically in, the rest... Yeah, not getting anything out of them. So let's go from a division that's weak to probably the toughest division in the entire NFL. That's up for debate, but I would say the AFC North, toughest division. I'm going to go ahead and get Pittsburgh out of the way. Pittsburgh, no chance. I don't care. Until recently, until maybe last year, there were a few teams that no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the coach is, no matter what era it is, 90s, 2000s, 60s, whatever, you don't count that team out. They may not make it, but at the start of the season, they're a contender. Green Bay is one of them. San Francisco is usually one of them. I'm sure there's been some lulls in there. And Pittsburgh is one of them. The Steelers, you always think they have a shot this year. They didn't make it last year, but they got a shot. They never have like that weak. I don't know. You never count them out in the playoffs at the beginning of the season until this season. I no chance. They're not making it, which is crazy to say. You've got they don't know what's going on with quarterback. They don't know what TJ Watt's trying to carry the defense on his own. You can argue that all you want. The defense isn't good. They've got one of the top 3 defensive players, and the rest nothing. This is the toughest division in the NFL, and it's because of 3 teams. It's not even a packed division. Just 3 teams make it the toughest division in the NFL, and that is why the Steelers have 6 automatic losses, 2 against each of these teams, and we'll move on to one of them, Cincinnati. The Bengals, again, I would say doubtful, which is weird to say. You got Joe Burrow. I mean, you've got this team is finally turned around, but there's just something off about it. Again, the AFC is just too strong to it's too strong for that many teams to make into the playoffs in that few slots, if you understand what I'm saying. And unfortunately, the Bengals, it's just going to be too tough for them to get in because there's so many other teams fighting for it. But I don't count them out completely. I say doubtful. They could win a couple games against they'll win against the Steelers, probably. And they may scrape out a win here and there against the other teams in the division. Will it be enough? I don't know. But it's just doubtful. There is the chance they could just get in. I mean, they've got the team to do it. They could even win the division. You don't know. But it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. And let's take that to the Browns, Cleveland. That one of those teams that's just cursed, one of those teams that's just not good. They are good. They got Chubb. I think they've got Cooper. I mean, they've got a good team, but the defense is what just makes them scary. Top 2 defense in the entire league, I'd say. I don't know. We'll see. But I would say probably for them. Again, it's like Buffalo and Miami. They're going to be fighting for the division win. I don't think they're going to get it, but I think they will take one of the other spots in the playoffs. But I don't think they can win against the Ravens, who I will say bet on it. The Ravens are, if they don't win the division, they're in the wild card. Let's just say that. If we were talking about teams to make the Super Bowl, that's a different discussion. I'm not going to get into that. Lamar in the playoffs. He almost made it last year. He made it to the conference, the championship. Just couldn't beat Kansas City. Could they do it this year? Maybe. They'll make the playoffs. So they just got to worry about getting through the playoffs. Jackson's good. The defense is good. The offense, I like Jackson's receiving core. I feel like I've heard, I would have to look it up. I heard that they've had a couple injuries the last few weeks. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But, I mean, I wouldn't count them out. Even with a couple injuries, scary team. It's like you go against Brady with the Patriots, scary team. You go against current Kansas City, scary team. You go against Ravens, I'd be afraid to go against the Ravens. Bet on it. They're in. And then, of course, we have the last AFC division, and that's the AFC South. This is a fun one. I'm excited for this one. This is a division that used to be kind of like the AFC West. It was like there'd be one good team, which was usually the Colts, and the rest not so great. There was a year or two the Titans were in that spot. There was a couple years ago the Jaguars were in that spot. Now, who's in that spot? Who's the best team? Houston Texans. They're a baby team. They're still young, and they're already the best team in the division. That's good. New coach, C.J. Stroud. Great season, great numbers. Looked good last season. And he's acquired Stephon Diggs from Buffalo. We'll see how that plays out. This could be fun. We'll start with Houston. Houston, I'd say bet on it, just because I think they're winning the division. If it was a dogfight against Cleveland and Miami or Buffalo or whoever else, it'd be difficult. It'd be a little bit of an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle for any team in this division that doesn't win the division, but I think Houston's got it. I'm excited. Like, Houston is my second favorite team after Buffalo. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. I've liked them. They've never amounted to a lot. I'm excited that they do now. But I'm excited for C.J. Stroud. He looks good. He looked real good last year, and I don't know, with a little bit stronger lineup, maybe. I think he's got a strong receiving core. Forget Diggs. Say they never acquired Diggs. He's still got it. He's still got Collins. Collins looked great. It's gonna be fun. Collins, Dell, Diggs. Who I think they got Mixon as a running back. Again, there's been a lot of switching around this year. Mixon's kind of a, if that's who they have, he's kind of a hit and miss. We'll see what they get out of him. Dalton Schultz, the receiving core is good. The offense is going to be pretty good. And then the defense should be all right. We'll see what happens. But I think if you're a Houston fan, I think you can sleep easy this year. Indy, the Colts. Oh, man, the Colts have been kind of weird the last couple years. They tried Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan didn't work. They got Anthony Richardson injured right away. So the Colts have kind of had some tough couple years. I think they got Flacco in over the summer, but I think Richardson is still who they're kind of focused on. It's I don't know what to think. If I was an Indy fan, I'd be a little not so sure. I'm gonna say doubtful for Indy. I don't know. We'll have to see, but I don't see them having a winning season. I think the most wins they're gonna get is 7 or 8 at the most. That's on a positive, looking at it positively. Yeah, so does that mean the next few years that they're not going to go anywhere? No. I think they might get better over the next couple of years, especially if Richardson works out and can stay healthy and get better as he goes. Then they might end up becoming something. But again, it'll be a fun division if they do, because I think the Texans have a few good years ahead of them, and if the rest of these teams do as well, they're going to be fun to watch. Some division games between them, but Colts doubtful. Jaguars. If there is a team that you could say might give Houston a little bit of a run for their money for winning the division, it's Jacksonville. Do I think Jacksonville's going to win? No. Lawrence, I don't know. There's something odd about Lawrence. He's not, I don't want to say he's not good, but he's not good. I don't know. He's had some stellar games, and that playoff game against the Chargers, that comeback, that was fun. But decent offense, decent defense, but just decent. We'll have to see what happens. I'd say they'll probably get second place in the division, but doubtful to make the playoffs just because the AFC is so tough, as I've said 100 times. If anybody beats Houston for the division, it's Jacksonville, but I don't see it happening. And then last, the Titans, no chance. Levis, people don't have a lot of hope in Levis. I like him okay. Mason Rudolph's his backup. I like Mason Rudolph. Everybody else thinks Mason Rudolph's not good. I like him okay. He's definitely a great. He would be top tier for a backup. If you don't start him, then he's great. He'd be a great backup. But you've also got Malik Willis. You've got Pollard. I think they got Calvin Ridley. They've got the names, but there's something missing there. Is it the coaching? I don't know. I could talk a while on the coach, but we'll see what happens. I think. Who else did they acquire? Let me see real quick. They got Snead. They have Snead. I think that might be good for them on defense, but I don't see them winning much at all. They're going to get last in this division. Might be the Colts. We'll see. It depends on the health of Indianapolis, but I would say the Titans are going to be in the bottom few teams of the AFC, so no chance of making the playoffs. So that's the AFC. So let's do the NFC now. we'll do the NFC South. Start with them. So we go from a fun division to a horrible, horrible division. Probably the worst division in the NFL, the NFC South. I wish I could say no chance for every team in this division, but somebody's got to make it in. I think this is the division that once had, was it the Falcons? Somebody made it in the playoffs with a losing season once. I mean, that was a long time ago, early 2000s or something like that. But they're not looking much better this year. You got the Falcons, Atlanta. See, and this is what makes it so difficult. I say doubtful or no chance for so many teams in the AFC because the AFC is just difficult. The NFC is different. The NFC has like 3 teams that are just going to destroy everybody, 3 or 4 teams, and then is just up for grabs for everyone else because everyone else is just not good. I don't care what your thoughts are. Argue it all you want. It's true. You know it's true. Falcons are weird. They acquired Kirk Cousins, but are they going to play Cousins? They got that Penix, I think is how you say his name. I mean, they got some fun players. They got Robinson at running back. They've got Kyle Pitts at tight end. They got Koo as their kicker. I like him. I don't know. The Falcons, I'll say doubtful. Doubtful. They may win their division. If they don't, whoever wins this division is going to the playoffs. The 3 that don't, I don't think will make the playoffs. So I say doubtful. Panthers, no chance. The worst team. Okay, that could be argued, but Bryce Young, just either he's not good or he hasn't figured it out yet. It's one or the other. I'll let you guys decide what that is. Oh, they have acquired a few people. They got Thielen last year or the year before. They got Clowney. I like Clowney. They've got a couple interesting people in there, but again, 1 or 2 good players is not a good team make, and I just they don't have a chance of making. They're not going to win the division, so they're not going to make the playoffs. The Saints, New Orleans Saints, I don't know what to say. They got Carr. Are they going to play Carr? They either named him as the starter or they named him as not the starter. I can't remember. But they got Kamara. Kamara's been around a while. Olave, Taysom Hill. I don't even want to start on Taysom Hill. They've got some... I don't even want to say they have some good players. They don't really have much of a roster at all that really stands out. I may be overlooking somebody, missing someone, but if they somehow win the division, great. They're in the playoffs and out round 1. Whoever wins this division is probably out round 1, unless it is Mayfield. Ooh yeah, the Buccaneers. I'll say probably. And that's because I think they're winning this division. I don't want to say that they're automatically winning it because you never know. None of these teams are that great. But if there was a team that I had to say was the best from this division, it's the Buccaneers. I like Mayfield a lot. No one else seems to like Mayfield. Everyone blames the Browns on Mayfield. Guess what? The Browns were horrible for 20 plus years, 25, 30 years. Mayfield came along and made them relevant. Then he got hurt, and they started losing while he was hurt. Oh no. They sent him away. He joins the Buccaneers, takes them to the playoffs. I think he even won the first round. I've slept since then. But Mayfield, he's good. I like him. He's not stellar, but he's got Evans. He's got Godwin. He's got White. The Buccaneers need to work on their defense a little bit, but the offense is okay. They just need some molding, and then this team could be a good team, but they're not quite there. We'll see what happened over the off season and see what happens this season. And I think they're going to win the division, but if they don't, they're not going to make it. Did I say what I thought on the Saints? I think doubtful, if I didn't say it before. And no chance for Panthers. I'm blanking on the other team. Oh, Falcons, also doubtful. I'd say probably for the Buccaneers because I think they're winning the division. And, yeah, are they going to do great in the playoffs? Maybe not. But they're going to do decent enough in the regular season. But again, still the worst division in the NFL. Let's move on to the NFC West. This is also a division that's kind of odd. The Cardinals, not good. The Cardinals, I would say no chance. I don't like Kyler Murray. I don't think he's good. He's one of the highest paid quarterbacks to not be that good. He can run a little bit. He can scramble. But so can half the other quarterbacks. You've got... Oh, they picked up Marvin Harrison Jr. But again, one good player does not a good team make. So we'll see what happens with them. But don't expect much. I would say no chance. Because there are a couple really tough teams in this division, including the Rams. Probably. Are they going to win the division? I don't think so, because of one team, which we're about to get to. But I would say they're probably going to make it in. They got Stafford. Just listen to their quarterback lineup. Stafford, one of the best currently. Garoppolo, which everybody just thinks is not good. He's okay. He's been on some crap teams. He did okay with the 49ers. He did the best he could with the Raiders. Again, you can't put it all on the quarterback. If the whole team is horrible, then the quarterback's going to be horrible. Case in point. And then they've got that Bennett guy. He's like, 50 by now? Anyways, this team, this offense is scary. You got Cooper Kupp. You've got that Puka guy. I don't even know how to say his name. But good team. Are they a scary team? Not quite, but a good team. I'd say probably. I want to say bet on it, but I won't put it there. They've got one big obstacle in their way, and that is, of course, the 49ers. Bet on it. The 49ers are making it in. Brock Purdy, fantastic. No one wants to believe in him. He's proven himself. Oh, he's a system quarterback. No, he's proven himself. Just accept it already. McCaffrey, if he's healthy, best running back in the game. Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, there's a lot of controversy with. There's talk of trades. I think I've heard Steelers. I've heard a few teams, and I'm blanking on all of them now. I don't know if they'll have Ayuk. They'll have Samuel. They'll have Kittle. They'll have Bosa. And Juszczyk. Oh, man. I'm almost giddy just listing the players. And then you've got the coach. So, San Francisco, They, yeah, yeah. Shanahan's still with them. I for some reason I was like, is Shanahan still their coach? I don't know why I thought he had moved on or retired or something. No, yeah, Shanahan as the coach too. I mean, you've got every spot filled, basically. Just defense, offense, they're good to go. They've made the Super Bowl here and there the past few years. Haven't quite won it. They've been against the Chiefs twice. Lost both of them. Do I think they have the chance to go to the Super Bowl again? Yes. They're up there in the betting odds. But if you want to know if they're making the playoffs, for sure. Almost as guaranteed as Kansas City. And I don't just say that because they were in the Super Bowl last year. It's like, this is a good team. This is a pretty much scary team. Yeah, there's not much else to say. The 49ers are making it. And then you've got the Seahawks. The Seahawks, again, I'd say doubtful. Howell's okay. And then they got, Metcalf and Lockett. I really like Lockett. I like him more than Metcalf. And then is it Howell or Geno Smith that's starting? We'll have to play that by ear. Probably gonna be Smith. Surely it's Smith. Yeah, I don't know why I thought Howell was starting. I don't know, but we'll have to see with that. But it's doubtful. Again, two really good teams in your division, and they'll probably play. I don't know what their schedule is, but if they've got some other if they're against a tough team, they're probably going to lose. Will they get a decent amount of wins against weaker teams like the Cardinals? Yeah. I see them winning 9-ish games. They're going to be middle of the road. So, I mean, they may make it, but it's doubtful. So that takes care of that one. And then the NFC East. I don't know what to really say about this one. The Cowboys, bet on it. Can you bet on them going past the first round? I wouldn't. I definitely wouldn't. If you're a Cowboys fan, don't necessarily hold your breath on them making the Super Bowl, but they'll make the playoffs. Prescott, if you ask me, I thought he was going to win the MVP last year. Amazing stats. His quarterback rating was just crazy good last year. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got Elliott back. But Parsons on defense. Trayvon Diggs on defense. Their defense is good. Their offense is great. I hate the Cowboys. I'm not some Cowboys fan that's like, it's our year. It's our year.
Did you say that last year and the year before that?
Yeah. And I was full of...
This year's different. This year is my year. I can feel it.
I'm not a fan of Dallas, but I'm going to tell you right now, Dallas is making the playoffs. Bet on it. Who might get in their way? Philadelphia. Do I think they will? No. Making the playoffs. This would be the one team that if I had an option between probably and doubtful, they'd be there. I'm going to say probably. But it seems every year they're not quite as good as last. So, I don't know. They acquired Barkley. I think that's going to be interesting. you've got Hurts, who runs a lot, especially that QB sneak. So do you really need a power runner like Barkley to punch it in? No, you've got that QB sneak. Although they don't have Kelsey anymore, it's I don't want to say it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm not going to watch many Philadelphia games. But I think picking up Barkley is actually going to be good for them. I think they should definitely use him to punch it in when they're at goal line or 4th and inches instead of Hurts. Do you want Hurts to get hurt? No. But we'll see what happens with them. It's going to be a dogfight between them and Dallas, but I think Dallas is going to take the division. So I'll just say probably to the Eagles. Again, the AFC, the NFC is so weak. Like I said, there's like 4 really strong teams that are just going to destroy everybody. And then the last few be filled by whoever's good enough to fill them. I think Philly's going to be one of those that's good enough to fill them. So I'll say probably to Philly. The other 2, the Giants, the Commanders, I'm going to say no chance. I'll do each one individually. The Giants, no chance. No chance. Daniel Jones, no chance. The end. Commanders, I want to like the Commanders. I want to root for the Commanders. Who's even their quarterback now? They don't have Howell anymore. Let me see here. I know they picked up Eckler. They got McLaurin. I like McLaurin. So they got Hartman and Mariota. I don't see either of them being enough to even get them into wild card. The Commanders are one of those teams that's not really one of my favorites, but I kind of underdog root for them every year. But I wouldn't hold my breath this year. No chance. And then we've got one more division to go to, and that is the other fun division. If the other, whereas the AFC had the Titans, Jags, Houston, that they were the fun division, and then you've got the tough division, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. You got your tough division, you got your fun division. You put them together, and you've got the NFC North. You've got Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings. This is honestly probably the one I'm most excited about to see how it unfolds. Let's just start. I'm going to start off with Chicago because this absolutely cracks me up. All the media, the analysts, the posts on social media, it's just Caleb Williams is just the chosen one. He will deliver Chicago to another losing season. One good quarterback does not a good team make. And Williams is not even a good quarterback. I'm ready to be proven wrong. If I'm wrong, okay, I'll admit it. I'll take whatever on the chin. I'll eat my words. Extra mustard, please. The Bears, no chance. Not only do you have to win your division. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Cowboys have won their division. Buccaneers have probably won their division. San Francisco has won their division. That's 3 out of 7 slots filled. Now, I know I said the NFC is a little easier to get into the playoffs because you don't have 10 really good teams. You got like 4 or 5. Now, the Bears can automatically get in if they win their division. They're going to be last in their division. So, the winner of their division takes the 4th slot. That leaves 3 more. Well, 2 of them are beating the Bears in this same division. So that leaves 1 slot left. I don't think all the NFC North is going to get into the playoffs. Rarely, if ever. I don't think it's ever happened. Prove me wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Send me the proof if an entire division made the playoffs once. But this division is not doing it this year. The Bears are going to be in last in their division. No chance of making the playoffs. I don't want to do a big rant on Caleb Williams. I don't want to do like an episode on Williams. Yeah, he's got... I don't know how to say his name. Odunze. I don't know. They brought in a good receiver. I've seen some stuff from him. Looks good. They've got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. He's got the weapons. They have definitely given him the weapons. They think they've got something here. And they're doing good in the preseason. They're doing good. I'll admit that. But you can't judge stuff on the preseason. So many people are like, oh, we lost preseason. Our season's shot. I will admit if I'm wrong. But if you want my opinion, the Bears aren't going anywhere this year. 6 wins tops. 6 wins tops. Maybe. No, 6 wins tops. The Vikings. I may have just corrected myself. The Bears may somehow beat the Vikings for one reason and one reason only. They have had half their team injured in the last 2 weeks. Half their team's gone. McCarthy at quarterback, gone. Darnold may start. Jefferson's gone. Who else? Addison gone. Their offense... Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Sam Darnold. Darnold's going to have to start. If they were playing on McCarthy, he's gone. And all the weapons on offense, gone. Hawkinson, is he still alive? The Vikings are done already. Or wait, no, Jefferson's not hurt. Who's the other one that's hurt? Is it Hawkinson? I don't know. Now I can't remember, but I will tell you, I've seen the media. Minnesota's not looking good. Chicago may take it just because of that. Take 3rd place. So Minnesota would have made this fun if like Cousins was still on and he was healthy. Addison was there. Jefferson, I don't know, a couple years ago. The Vikings are a good team. Not anymore. So we'll say doubtful. Actually, no. Sorry. No chance for the Vikings. No chance for the Bears. No chance for the Vikings. Now, the 2 teams. I just said this is going to be the toughest and the funnest division. I don't know if this is going to be the toughest division anymore because with the Vikings so hurt, it's really just down to 2 teams. But it is still going to be a fun division to watch because of these 2 teams. The Green Bay Packers, bet on it. Yeah, I know that's a little bit more of a shot, an out there shot than like Kansas City or San Francisco, but bet on the Packers making it unless something crazy happens. Jordan Love gets hurt. Alexander gets hurt. I don't know. A couple big names get hurt like the Vikings, then their season's shot. But if everyone's healthy and just keeps on keeping on, do what they did last year. They figured it out last year. Love came into his own. I think Love's going to be... You got your little eras of quarterbacks. You've got, like, Breeze, Manning, Brady. You've got the different... you got Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, whatever. Love's going to be up there. I doubted him at first. I'm sold now. But not just because of Jordan Love. It's just the Packers are good. They proved it last year. Will they make it far in the playoffs? I don't know. I don't think so. But I would bet on them making the playoffs, at least the wild card. Will they win the division? I don't know, because they've got one team in their way, and this is probably the most fun team to watch, Detroit. Just like the Browns, a team that's just not good, right? Well, they're finally relevant. They're finally good. You got Jared Goff. You've got Gibbs, Hutchinson. St. Brown. Oh, man. It's just a fun team to watch. And their coach is crazy. Who needs a punter? Who needs a kicker? Let's just go for it. Their coach played too much Madden. Like me. I'd always go for it on fourth. It's like, I'm getting that touchdown. I'm not punting. Who punts? That's their coach's mindset. Did he ruin his season with that mindset? Possibly. But it was so much fun to watch. But not only are they fun, they're good. I would say bet on it. I think 2 teams from this division are for sure making it. Detroit and Green Bay. One of them's winning the division. One of them is taking a wild card slot. It's going to be a fun division to watch. I think there are 2 games this season that are going to be 2 of the best games. 2 games this season are going to take some of the 2 of the best game slots. And that's the 2 times that these teams face each other. The 2 times Detroit and Green Bay face each other this season, you're going to get 2 good games. I may, if it's on the same time as Buffalo, I may tune into this game instead. It's 2 good teams. Detroit and Green Bay have a good future with their setup. How much more does Goff have? I don't know. I'm not sure who they have as backup quarterbacks. But I'm sure they're not really worried about backups, as in like to take Goff's place as starter. I think they'll look into that later seasons. Don't wait too long. Goff's been around a little bit. But, yeah, Goff was always kind of middle of the road. He's brought himself up there. He's a good quarterback on a good team. So if I accidentally forgot to put any of these teams in a tier that I've discussed, then I will make sure to do that in the editing. Sometimes I get talking about teams and I forgot that if I actually said whether they're going to make it or not. I think I got them all, but if I didn't, I'll make sure to get that on the screen. But otherwise, I don't know. I'd say I'm looking forward to this season, but I feel it feels weird. The trades that were made, the acquisitions that were made, and the injuries that are already just plaguing the league before the season even starts has already got this off to an odd start. Again, Buffalo, my favorite team. Hope they do well. It's going to be a heart attack every time they go against Miami, and I know they go against Kansas City. At Buffalo, I think. I don't know. I haven't looked at the schedule too much. They go against Indy. They go against Tennessee. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I'll try to do some updates as the season goes on how I think different teams, different players are doing. But before I end this, two teams that I'm going to say are shots in the dark for making the Super Bowl. These are teams that if you say, who's going to the Super Bowl this year? You've got the ones that everyone's like, oh yeah, it's Kansas City. Oh yeah, it's Buffalo. Oh yeah, it's Baltimore. It's San Francisco. And then there are teams that just not many people are going to mention unless you're probably a fan hoping they make it. But I'm going to pick one team from each conference that I think are overlooked, like they have the best chance of making the Super Bowl while still being a team that people don't expect to go to the Super Bowl. Your dark horse, your wild card, so to speak. For the NFC, I've already talked about them quite a bit, and that's Tampa Bay. They're going to make the playoffs because they're going to win their division. The rest of the division just isn't good. But I think they have that shot to somehow pull off the victory in the first round. Somehow pull it off in the divisional round. Somehow make the Super Bowl. Are they going to? Probably not. But if I had to take a wild shot at a team like that probably is not going to make it, that people think aren't going to make it, and had to make a crazy guess that analysts make, I'd say Tampa Bay for the NFC. For the AFC, that's difficult because the teams that you would think are going to make this, or the teams that have a chance of making the Super Bowl, people already kind of expect could be up there, like Ravens. You can't really say Ravens because people already expect them to probably make it. I would say Houston. Again, a lot like Tampa Bay, they made the playoffs. They're gonna win their division, and they're young, inexperienced, but could they somehow pull something off and make their way to the Super Bowl? Maybe. Will we see a Houston-Tampa Bay Super Bowl? Probably not. But those are two teams for both conferences I would keep an eye out for. Houston has never really been relevant. They had a couple good years with Deshaun Watson. We won't get into that. And when they had that fun defense, that J.J. Watt, Clowney, Merciless, they had a good defense. I think that's when I started really liking them when I was young. And they ended up becoming my second favorite team. But even then they weren't necessarily considered to be a top team. And they still aren't. But I think you can't overlook them or underestimate them. Look out for Houston and Tampa Bay this year. And then, of course, all the other teams that I mentioned here this evening. It's going to be an interesting season. I'm excited football's back. We'll see what happens as the first few weeks start up here. And I thank everyone for watching this, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.